So here's the area where I do all my forging. Basically got my anvil and hammers, and got these two billets that I was getting ready to heat up and start beating out. I was going to start the Damascus build this afternoon. However, the last time I came out here to try to forge, basically did this exact same thing. I believe the God of Thunder, Thor, might have a problem with me trying to smash the anvil. Anyway, so I think we're gonna again put off this project for another weekend, and probably try to come in here and focus on working on another knife. So I guess we'll probably jump over to this project here, and I'll give you a little bit of information about that one. So here's kind of a mock-up knife that I drew up on some scrap paper. I was trying to figure out what to do next for a knife project. I just got done finishing up this knife. Just posted this video not too long ago. There's several in this series. The Farrier's rasp knife. The latest one was how to shape this handle. It turned out really good. It's a really cool maple burl, and it's a really long and sharp Farrier's rasp knife. But anyway, just was wondering what I should be doing next. I think I want to try something different and weird. Something like this would be good for me. There's some different things that I'm not used to. Number one, this swedge or the false edge. I think we're going to try to put that into it. It's also a hidden tang, so I've only done a few of those. And this handle kind of has a little bit of a curve to it, which is something different. I put this in my hand though, and it's really pretty comfortable and kind of cool looking. So I think we're going to give that a go. I had this little scrap piece of metal left over from another project, and it wasn't very big, so I was wondering what I could do with it. And I think I'll probably try to use it to make the knife. I've already got some of it ground out. I still have a little bit to go to bring it back down to the profile, but I think we're going to try that. And then I have this other block. It's another maple burl, and probably use this for the handle. And we'll probably also be putting some sort of a guard in this. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to use, whether it's going to be brass or some other material. So I've got a 50, I think it's a 50 grit belt on here, and got this little kind of work rest, homemade work rest set up. So we're going to go ahead and knock some of this off of here. So you can see by utilizing the edge of the belt here, we can really hog off more material, as opposed to just trying to put it straight up against the belt. This little 1x30 motor isn't the best, so you kind of have to get creative when using it, but that's kind of the gist. We're going to continue to go around this thing until we get the rest of the black Sharpie off of there. I think it was probably a good call holding off on trying to forge weld those two billets. The wind is whipping pretty good. The thunder is striking. And yeah, this is definitely a good project to do inside the barn. Plus it's a knife that I've been wanting to work on for a while. You know, I've got like 3 or 4 different knife projects in my mind right now. So it's always hard for me to just pick one and stick with it, but yeah, we've got this one going on. We just finished up the Farrier's rasp, like I said. We also have another one that I'm just kind of goofing around with. It's just kind of like I don't know, my first attempt at some sort of a throwing knife, kind of messing around with it. It's actually quite difficult to get these grinds to come out the way you want. I'm by no means an expert, definitely like a hobby knife maker, but yeah, I'm going to have to think through this one to get these lines to come out the way that I want them to. But this one's also pretty cool. If you guys are interested in me filming any of this, you can let me know. I didn't really plan on it just because it's not. This is basically all it's going to be, is just finishing up this, and then I'll probably put some sort of a wrap, like a leather wrap or something around the handle. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to go and keep going with this one until we get it knocked back. Alright, now that we have the profile ground out on the 1x30 and we've got it almost back to the Sharpie lines, I'm moving over to the oscillating spindle sander. I'm going to be hitting this top part. That will help me kind of get this rounded edge here. I'll focus on that and probably smooth out the belly as well. So we'll go ahead and do that now, and then we'll really just have the Tang to work on after that, kind of working on the shoulders and getting those sort of squared off. So just to bring this in the light and into focus for you, you can see that we basically have this back to where the Sharpie was. We kind of have a pretty good swooping profile up to the front, a nice shape up to the tip of the swedge, and I don't know if it'll focus good or not, but man, you can really tell that the oscillating spindle sander does a fantastic job at really smoothing out the metal and really just getting it almost to like a hand sanded condition. I think that was probably one of the better investments that I've made into this knife making journey of mine. It really has been a valuable tool, not only for different curves and things, but it's got so many different other wheels that come with it. Like a 1/2 inch, 2 inch, 2.5, 3. I think that one there is probably the 3-inch one, but yeah, just a super great machine to help kind of do some of the work like this. So now that we've got this, we're going to go ahead and work on squaring up these shoulders here, and then at that point I think what we're going to do is probably go ahead and heat treat it. I want to heat treat it as is before I grind in all of the bevels into this. It's already kind of thin to begin with. This was 1/8 inch thick stock, so there's not a ton to take off anyway, and I figure by doing that we'll probably just set ourselves up better to where it'll just be easier for me. Alright, so now that we have the blade in the vise, I know it's probably hard to pick up on camera, but we basically have just a little bit of this shoulder here sticking out on both sides, and I've tried to get it to where the black Sharpie mark is visible and basically stops right there at the vise. So we're just going to go through with this file and get after it until we have kind of a uniform and even amount taken off on both sides.
Terus pawai ko di ada di ada saya berpandang di dalam
You can see there that the shoulders are both right at about the same spot. I know it's kind of hard to see because my camera is from the 1800s, but yeah, you just take my word for it, I guess. Alright, now that we got these two sides filed down and kind of created a even shoulder there, we now need to go and create a bit of a shoulder on the front and the back. And so what I've done is I've used a couple of brackets that I had laying around and just created my version of a file guide, kind of. Now they're not going to protect the metal from the file. The file's still going to chew through this, but hopefully what it will do is when we start working on it, it'll kind of give a place for the file to kind of rest along as we're chewing through this and the other side. Alright, now that we have the Tang kind of shaped out and we've got this part ground down just so that there's a step down on both sides and we're relatively straight across for the most part. There's probably going to be a little bit of fine tuning. Really the only other knife that I have experience in doing a hidden tang with a guard is one that I made for my dad a while back. And I really had to mess around with that one quite a bit. The only other one that I've done was one of my very first knives that I made. It's not the best, but basically this is a through tang, so it's a hidden tang, but it comes all the way to the back here, and then did just like a leather stacked handle. But I do have this as just a little experience in fitting up this one. It's not perfect. You can see a little tiny gap. It doesn't poke right out at you, but if you stare hard enough, you can kind of see a little tiny gap in that one. But this was my first attempt. Honestly, I think this is like the third or fourth knife I ever made. But anyway, between this one and the one I made for my dad are about the only, experience that I have doing this. So, like I said in the beginning, this is going to be a few new processes for me. Not necessarily the hidden tang and the guard, although it is somewhat new, but mainly grinding in the bevels and grinding in this false edge with a swedge. So that's something I've never done before. But anyway, now that we're there, the next step is going to be cutting out a piece of brass stock for the guard. After looking at this and kind of messing around with it a little bit, I think probably have the knife sit up somewhere about there and have the guard come down to about here. In the little piece that I drew up here, I put a little pencil mark on here for the guard. And in the one I did for my dad, I basically had the guard kind of transition into the handle similar to this. So I'm not sure if I want to do that to where it transitions into the handle, or if I want to have this piece sticking down a little further and then just round it over maybe. I'm not really sure, and I guess because I'm not sure, I'm going to be marking this out to leave it a tad bit long. Probably have it something like that, and then maybe cut just to this side of this line. So once I do that, I figure that'll be enough space to either leave it a little long and round it over, kind of like we did with this one here. But if I don't like that and I want to have the wood kind of fill up this little round area here, then we can do that as well. So I'm going to throw it up on the bandsaw, and we're going to get this thing cut out real quick. Yeah, that hole is just barely shy of our Tang thickness, which is a little concerning. So what do you do? I don't know. I certainly don't want to hook this up to the Dremel and Dremel my way through this. This would take about a week to get through this. Yeah, not really sure. Definitely gonna have to figure something out. I might run to the store and see if there's any smaller drill bits or better ones. This is the only 16th inch drill bit I have, and it's an old crappy one. So maybe we'll pause and go get a better drill bit. Alright, so we finally got through. That is one pretty good hole there. Alright, so now that we have these 5 little holes drilled, we're going to take this little diamond tip on the rotary bit, and we're just gonna very carefully go in here and start knocking out the space in between the holes, because we obviously need a slit here for the Tang to go through. So I'm just going to take my time and really concentrate on not going this way or this way, but mainly trying to stay straight up and down, because we really don't want the slot to be any thicker than this 16th, maybe a little bit, but really we're pretty close to our final width with the size of the drill bit. So we're basically just going to go through and connect them. Alright, so with a little bit of time and some patience, we now have our slot connected and drilled through. Our next step is going to be coming over to the Belgian cookie collection from Trader Joe's and getting out our needle files. I have a couple of different kits in here, and basically these come in handy when doing tasks such as this. So I've got really skinny files that I use, and these should just fit right up in here, and they do. So I'll just take these and start working out the edges until we get basically the right amount cut out for the Tang to start fitting on there. So that'll be next. Alright, so we've taken the time to take our flat needle file and just kind of remove some of this material along the sides, and this is where we're at. Right about there. So as you can see, we have just the slightest amount left to go. And what I'm thinking is we'll probably put it in the vise like this. Put the vise around the blade, and then we're going to try to beat this brass down and see if it will make up that difference. Alright, so we have our brass. We're going to put that down onto the Tang, and you can see we've got just a little bit of this space to make up here, and then I'm going to be using just a cutout piece of metal to protect the brass. We're going to put that over top of it, and then the only other thing that I'm using is just a piece of fencing pipe from work, just a piece of top rail with a little welded on tension bar on it, and it's hollow here, so I'm going to be putting this over top and just giving it a good whack with the hammer. I'm going to make sure that this thing is lined up to the best that it can be, and we'll give it a couple of hits. And as you can see, it went on there pretty good. I still see a little tiny bit of a gap there, but let's go ahead and pull it off and take a look and see what else we need to do. Alright, so there really just was a little bit more filing to do on this corner here, and now that we've done that and we put our brass back on, you can see that it's actually fitting on there really well. It's pretty square in relationship to one another, and there's really no visible gaps at all. So this is a pretty good fit. Now, one thing that we will have to keep in mind is we're going to heat treat this before we grind in the bevels. And so there may be a little bit left to do with fitting this back up after heat treating and tempering. We might have to knock some of the forge scale off and just kind of readjust it But we at least now have this piece, you know, cut out and fit and ready to roll, basically. So if there is any extra work that we have to do, it should be minimal. Alright, so now that we've got the guard part ready to roll, I'm going to go ahead and light up the forge and probably get the knife quenched. Take a little while to get warm. You know, I've got this thing running at about 5 psi, and we'll probably give it a good 15 minutes or so to warm up, but I'll kick it back on once we get ready to do the first normalizing cycle. Alright, now that we got this thing up to temp, we're going to go ahead and stick in the blade. And as you can probably see, I've got, well, I guess it's kind of hard to see, but I do have a piece of, couple pieces of angle iron welded together to kind of form as a baffle to get a little bit more even heat. I feel like that does help kind of disperse the heat out so that you're not getting a really hot section in the blade. But yeah, we'll go ahead and let this sit in here and reach hopefully about shooting for like 15 to 1600 degrees this first round, and then we'll let it air cool. And then once it's cooled down, we'll throw it back in for maybe another 1450 degrees or so and let that air cool. And then on the third one, we're going to be shooting for just right past non-magnetic, somewhere around 1350, 1400 degrees, somewhere around there, before we quench. And we're going to be quenching in Parks 50. The metal that I'm using is 15 in 20. Reached the point now where we are at the second kind of normalizing or grain reduction cycle. We're going to go ahead and kick off the forge and pull it out and let it air hang one more time.
vise here, we have the blade straight out of the quench, and then actually the other piece of the exact same metal that came in a softened or annealed state. So what I've done is just kind of took a file to this and got the decarb layer off of there, and thought I would throw this little chainsaw file on both of them so you could hear the difference. We'll do this one first. And you can tell that that one pretty much bites into it, and it's a pretty dull sound compared to this one. So, yeah. I think we definitely got it hard. I do have some hardness testing files that are coming in the mail that will hopefully be here in a couple of days, so I might wait to temper this one until those come in. I'm really curious as to where it landed. So yeah, we'll probably start off the next video testing them and putting those files to work and see where we're at. I really appreciate you watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.